So the Israeli regime didn't say that they began Operation Gideon's Chariots B, but they did say that they're beginning a new campaign, and their genocide minister today said that we began, and this campaign is called Opening the Gates of Hell. He made a post on X before, the gates of hell are going to open, we put in the keys to open the gates of hell, and now we began. So how did they begin? You'd think that they want to land a decisive attack against the Palestinian resistance in retaliation, right? From an Israeli perspective, of course, from a genocidal perspective. But this is what we saw today in Gaza. Let's have a look at what happened in Gaza today to see what Israel means exactly. Residential building with people. I mean, they warned the people before this time. They told them, you need to get out because we're taking down the building with American bombs. The people went out, they destroyed the building exactly next to tents, one of very few buildings that was already hit, by the way, before, and they wanted to take it down. And this is, according to Israel, this operation, opening the gates of hell. Why did they destroy this building? They said because it housed Hamas operatives' command and control area, and they were carrying out operations. When some of the people were recording themselves leaving the building and crying because they're going to be displaced yet again, and they have nowhere to go. And as if Israel, allowed Hamas to operate 2 years from a building knowingly, right? And they were just allowing them to do that. Can you imagine? And they're expecting people to believe that there was a command and good. If there was a command, you're destroying civilian buildings. You are displaying your barbarism and depravity and the reality that you are parasites to the whole world on a day-to-day basis. Don't tell me command and control. If they knew that anyone was going from any of the Palestinian resistance movements, they would have attacked it. But the fact of the matter is, the IDF themselves, the Genocide Terror Army, they released stats that were published in Israel confirming that 83% of the casualties in Gaza are from the civilian population. They know that very well. That's genocide. Killing people, innocent civilians, with an intent to commit a genocide. And an infanticide as well. But Donald Trump is making statements now saying that I expect Israel to be fast and swift with this operation, in similar words, so that, they don't kill the prisoners of war. The Palestinian resistance published another video of another Israeli prisoner of war in Gaza today in a car over the ground in Gaza. And he's saying that I thought I was being held by Hamas, but I'm actually being held by Benjamin Netanyahu and the Israeli government. This again sent shockwaves inside of Israel, especially with the escalation coming from the families of the prisoners of war and their attacks against Benjamin Netanyahu. In a car, not in a tunnel this time. And he was being driven around as well, talking about the situation for this whole period. And again, blaming Benjamin Netanyahu and saying how he basically left him. And why is the Palestinian resistance, by the way, showing him over the ground? This is a message from the Palestinian resistance, by the way. Showing you that, number one, we're confident. These are considered to be the biggest assets in the hands of the resistance. The IDF terrorists who they took from the Gaza division, who they captured from the Gaza division on the 7th of October. And they're driving around with them in cars in Gaza city. Let's Now let's get our heads together slightly. They're driving around in a car with the Israeli prisoners of war in Gaza. Can you comprehend that? Israel, the country that has targeted assassinations, kills people thousands of miles away with a missile or a drone or whatever. They couldn't know that their prisoner of war was being driven in a car now, 2 years into a genocide? What is this? What kind of a huge failure is that? This is a huge failure for Israel. This is an embarrassment. The Palestinian resistance is embarrassing Israel with this video. Telling them, look, there you have it, yours, he's with us, we're driving around in a car. Come and take him. And what is Israel going to do? That's the first message. The second message is, you want to strike Gaza? Well, they're out. Kill them. And from an internal perspective in Israel, the families of the prisoners who are going to tell the government, well, our children, our sons and daughters are being driven in cars in Gaza. So how are you going to go and attack Gaza City? Hence why they're not beginning the operation yet, technically, but they're saying that they opened the gates of hell because the keys were already in, and now, they started opening the gates of hell by targeting a civilian building. Wow, what an accomplishment. Nothing, basically, absolutely nothing on the ground, apart from destruction of civilian infrastructure and targeting civilians, which is what Israel does. Will this stop the attacks? Will this decrease the Palestinian resistance capabilities? Destroying people? Of course it will not. But because Israel is humiliated, and because its genocidal terror army was embarrassed, was humiliated, was defeated by the Palestinian resistance, they need to try and cover this up with some sort of destruction. They need to destroy buildings. We're going to destroy every high-rise tower in Gaza. High-rise, as if all of them are hit anyway. Way before 2023, that's from 2022, most of the houses in Gaza and residential buildings were considered to be not safe to live in. There was something wrong here and there. Constant Israeli bombardment throughout the years. And now they're destroying buildings again. Again, assuming or as if they knew that Hamas were there and allowed them to operate for 2 years. What kind of a weak, illogical, distorted statement is that? But again, it's coming from the parasites, and they lie more than they breathe. However, Trump is telling them, you need to be quick. They're still not declaring this operation. We have the flotilla coming in, and 50 boats are expected to come. This is bothering Israel. Don't think it's not bothering Israel. It's bothering Israel, but some leaders, like really bothered by the fact that British residents are going to go to that flotilla. Why? Here he's refusing to give them any protection, saying that I'm not going to protect them. He was questioned if he's going to protect the people. No protection. Well, British civilians, you have a duty. The government has a duty to protect its people. They're conducting a perfectly legal operation, traveling in international seas to Gaza, Palestine, under international law. Mr. Human Rights Lawyer. But no, Keir Starmer is a Zionist. I mean, we all know that. Keir Starmer and all of the British political leadership of the major parties are Zionists. Labor, Tories, Reform, Zionists. And what is expected from this man? British ex-armed forces were killed in Gaza when they went to volunteer as though with the World Central Kitchen. Did Britain say a word? They didn't say a word because they're Zionists. So if you're in Britain and you have a problem with that, your prerequisite for the prime minister would be he or she need to be an anti-Zionist. They must be anti-Zionists. Because the sovereignty of this country is undermined. We have a group of people influencing the prime minister, influencing the CPS, influencing the police, and you know who they are. So no wonder Keir Starmer is not of protection. This is the same man who said that Israel had the right to cut off power and water off of the civilian population in Gaza. Israel had the right to do that. If you didn't hear that, go back to the interview you had with the radio station at the time in 2023. That's Keir Starmer. But the Israelis, they're worried because Israel needs a lot of resources for this. It's going to be problematic for them. If more and more people are going to come, 50 this time, 50 ships, 50 boats, next time 100, 150, what are they going to do? There's a limit to how much Israel can handle. They don't have that many special forces, or usually it's one of their units called Sayarat Matkal who will carry out this operation to intercept anything in the sea. They're limited in numbers. And some of these people were humiliated in the past in the Maui Marmara at the time. They were beaten. So imagine Israel sends people who are like loose, rabid, psychopathic lunatics. What are they going to do? Are they going to start shooting people left, right, and center? Have massacres in the sea? It's an option, but that's not an option that's deterring the people who are coming. However, it's only going to increase the problem with Israel because, you see, unlike how Western politicians wanted a war between Ukraine and Russia and started to apply pressure on organizations to take a stance against Russia, it was coming from the top, from the establishment. Now you have something from the ground, the people, against the establishments, because they're seeing the blatant hypocrisy, the lies, the level of Zionist infiltration, and the inaction towards the genocide in Gaza.